I'm going to be doing another translucent clay project for you. And whoo-wee, I've had a busy day. I did 3 different voiceovers. This is my last one. Whew, I've been rocking it today, guys. Rocking it. I had a lot of fun making this idea. And it did not take me very long. Usually it takes me days, weeks to film something. I got this done in a day. I was so proud of myself. I'm going to be using some opal clay. I don't really care for the consistency. It's very crumbly. Now, it may be the brand. I don't know. But that, and when you cut into this, there's always those little flecks in there that make it very difficult to get a smooth edge on the outside. So I bought this 1 pack and I've been using it for like 2 years. I don't use it very often, but I'm slowly whittling away at it. I'm almost done. And it really does make a beautiful effect in the clay. Don't get me wrong, I love that aspect of it, but it's just kind of difficult to work with. But I definitely wanted to try it in this. I've been in love with the idea of like mood rings lately, or like opal mood rings, and I went online and was trying to find something on Amazon that I could buy that was like cheap. I don't know, we used to have these mood rings when we were kids, and they were so much fun. I really wish I would have kept it. Hindsight, man, some of the stuff that I got rid of from my childhood just breaks my heart, because I would love to be able to see and touch and feel it again, and all I have is the memory of it, and some of the stuff I've even forgotten. But anyway, we're getting off the topic of clay, right? But it's kind of fun talking about other things too, I think. So using both the opal and some translucent and mixing those up and then kind of rolling them out, I wanted to kind of give the opal clay a little bit more transparency to it and kind of add a little depth to the piece, which I think it did. So got all that together, and really you can add as much or as little as you want. I tried to do things on the smaller scale because otherwise I'll be, resining 850 pieces, and I just don't have the time or the energy to do that. So I try to go on a smaller scale here, and you can see where I cut it and all the little pieces that are poking out. It's just kind of difficult to work with, you know what I mean? And then, of course, going to do a little chop, chop, chop. You can make yours in as big or small pieces as you want, but I'm going to be doing a couple of different things with this. So I do want some smaller pieces, thinner, itty-bitty pieces, and some bigger pieces. So a nice little consistency. You can kind of decide, how much you want to chop yours up, or how small or how big, as you kind of watch the rest of this video. I'm doing like 2 or 3 different ideas with this, so just kind of bear with me, and I'm going to go through all of them. You can decide which one. And I am going to put some alcohol ink on this clay that I've chopped up. Originally, I decided I was going to only do 2 colors, but then I thought, you know what? The more the merrier. So I'm going to do a 3rd color. So I decided to do 3 piles that I'm going to color, and I'm going to color that with kiwi. You can take each of these and mix them up into the clay, but I'm going to be kind of doing 2 different things, like I said. So I'm going to be getting the best of both worlds, and you'll see what I mean as I go. This is the opal clay that I rolled out, just a little sheet of it, and I'm going to be using some of this gunmetal clay. It's got really pretty like mica flecks in it. It's really pretty. I wanted to use a black color, but I didn't have any inks or anything with a black base to it besides this gunmetal color. So it's a bit darker. That's what I was kind of going for here. Just taking some of that, and you can make this as dark as you want. Mix it up. You can mix it up as much as you want or as little as you want. I think if you don't mix it up a lot, as with a lot of the projects that I do, I love the swirly like pattern that it makes in there. I just think it adds overall depth to your piece, and that's kind of what it's about, especially when you're doing like translucent clay, or if you're not going for that vibe, well then mix it all up. I did decide to put a second coat on there, and I'm going to mix it and not mix it quite as much. So that is my piece. You can see there, it's got little flecks of like creases of the black in the like crevices that didn't quite get mixed. So pretty. Kind of looks like a really pretty dark stone. I like it. This is the one I'm going to be using little pieces in, so I just plucked out little pieces and I'm going to use those. There's the larger pieces. I'm going to save those for another idea that I will show you in a little bit. And use whatever colors you want. If you don't like these colors, you just use whatever you want. It is up to you. Or maybe you like the colors, in which case I'll leave links below for the alcohol ink that I purchased, so if you like that. And I'm just going to make them in a very thin layer, taking my roller and then rolling it out even thinner. I wanted the actual colors, so if I would have made a brick of this and then shaved it off, you would have seen all of the white and opal, which I am going to do that in another project. But this one I wanted the actual like colors to be there and not just in like the veiny pattern and texture. And you don't need a lot. I'm only going to be making a pair of earrings out of this, so I just needed a little bit. And I'm going to cut that in half. The more random it cut, the better in my opinion, because it's going to make it look more natural, stone-like. Now you can go ahead and put that on your clay. Or you can do like I'm going to do, and I'm going to cut out my shapes, and then I'm going to put on my little colored pieces. Either way is fine. It'll be just fine. And again, I'm going to be using some paper cutouts. Use whatever cutouts you want. And then make sure you kind of trim it up a little bit and get rid of any of those little pieces, or as many of those pieces as you can of the opal. Or the little flecks of glitter. It's not really opal in there. But otherwise that clay would be a lot more pricey, let me tell you. And then just kind of drape it over there. Decide how you want it to look. That's kind of why I wanted to do it afterwards, so I could see exactly what it's going to look like, and I can lay it in the exact way I want it to. And then once you get it on there and kind of, smush it in with your fingers just a little bit, you can use a roller too to flatten it. I didn't flatten mine all the way. You could kind of see the raised part of the colored clay in comparison to the opal dark clay in the back. When I put resin over top, you couldn't even tell. So if you're not going to resin your piece and you want it smooth, you'll have to work at that. But when you put resin on there, it covers up any of those imperfections. I'm going to be using the scraps, so I have those set aside. And then these are my earrings, and I will show you everything once it's baked and all that at the end. I did want these to be curved or domed, so I'm just going to put them on some spoons that I love using, and I'll bake those. I got my little scraps that I have left over. I'm using everything from these projects, so that's why they're kind of random at times. There's lots of, this project is added onto that project, because honestly, the scraps are like the prettiest thing, I think, out of all of the stuff that I make. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I'm going to be using some translucent clay. I'm just going to be putting a little bit in there to kind of bulk up the clay, and also it makes this really, really pretty pattern in it. And when I mix mine, I'm not going to mix it all the way. So there's going to be like little swirls of the translucent. So again, I was kind of hoping to go for some depth in my piece, but you want to mix yours all the way, go ahead. You'll see there, you can actually see the opal clay underneath, and that's going to add depth to it. It's very rock-like, I think, this project that I did. Lots of fun though, lots of fun experimenting with all this, and that's kind of what it's all about. Now I'm going to be using a little bit more of my colored clay that I have. I'm going to just take a little chunk and smush it together, roll it into a cohesive, well put together little brick, and then I can cut that up and then put that on my clay. And And I still have some of the colored clay left, which will be for the last project. Just kind of variations building on top of each other. That's what I do in a lot of my videos. And you'll see there the veiny texture. If I would have done this in the first project, that's what it would have looked like. But I kind of wanted the solid colors in there. So this is the variation of that. And I just love it when you roll it and it just kind of spreads out all the color. And I don't know, it just adds even more beauty to the piece, I think. Again, I'm going to be putting mine on my clay, but I decided this time to use my paper cutters, roll it on there so I can see exactly where it's going to lay. Then I can take my sliced clay and then kind of eyeball it and see how I want it to lay so I know exactly where it's going to cut and all of that jazz. This way works too. You can also do that with regular cutters, just kind of lightly indent where they're going to be, and then you can kind of decide where you want to place everything. And then just cut it out and decide what shapes you want to use, which to me is the hardest thing ever. And I really, really like this piece. This is probably one of my favorites that I made. I just love the contrast between the colors, and I think because I rolled everything out even thinner, it just gave it a lot lighter of a color to it. This is the additional piece. You could actually just mold that and make it into like a rock gem. I think it'd be really pretty. It's got a lot going on in it. Using the rest of my colored clay that I had chopped up, putting that into kind of a brick again. So this is going to be a variation of the previous one, which is very simple and basic. A lot of polymer clay artists do very similar things. I just took my colors, balled them up, and then now I'm going to cut them into sections and then place them back together to make a veneer out of it. And this is going to be a very thin veneer. For the piece that I'm going to make, I want my piece to be a little bit thinner because I'm going to resin it very, very well, so it's going to give it lots of stability. This would be pretty if you just wanted to cut out a shape, just like this. So, so pretty. I love it. Those greens and the little yellow in there, very beautiful. But I'm going to fold it over on itself because it's a little too thin for what I'm trying to do here. You can make yours as thick as you want or whatever you want to do. I'm going to be using a mold. So I don't want a huge, chunky, thick, heavy piece. So I just want the outline of the mold. So I chose a heart mold. I'm going to put my clay inside of there. Just make sure it's very much tucked into the spaces and crevices. You can push up from the back and kind of push your finger down, and it'll like suction cup it in when you remove your finger from the back. And then just cut away, slice away all that on top that's kind of hanging over the sides. I think these would be really pretty as some like butterfly wings too. And then just kind of smooth out the edges. They will be rather rough because they do have those little flecks in them. And then I am going to pre-poke my hole because the clay is thinner and it's just easier to do it while it's still in the mold. And then just pop it out. And at that point you can kind of just play with it and make it as domed as you want, as flat as you want, whatever you want to do. Perfect your piece. I do like to take something and like poke down the top a little bit more so that that top part is a little bit more pronounced. And then making the bottom come to a little bit more of a point. I'm going to bake that on a spoon on the inside so that it kind of bakes curved a little bit. And then just play with it, get it however you want it to look. Go ahead and bake it. And then now I'm going to show you all of my pieces that I made. I really love these the best. I think they came out with the best contrast between the colors. I absolutely love the way those little flecks look inside of there. Pain in the patella to work with, but a beautiful result in the end. And then these were kind of like mood rings. If I can find a ring that will fit this shape, I'm going to put it in there. I didn't put any backings or anything on it yet because I hadn't quite decided what I wanted to do. They were so pretty. This is my least favorite, but you know, it still has beauty to it. I don't know, I guess it might be the shape too. I didn't really probably care for the shape on this project. But this is the heart. I just wanted to briefly show you that. And it's resined. I resined the front, the back, and the sides really well. As you'll see, it's very see-through. It's very, very pretty. The light shines through it gorgeously. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!